Hello everybody, this is Toys R Us, and for this special figure showcase we're going to look at the 1988 Japanese exclusive figure, Hydra. What we're going to do with this video, we're going to have a quick look at him in both of his modes to help you decide how you want to display him. I'll point out some things that you need to be aware of if you have to purchase one for yourself. As I'm lucky enough to have a couple of different types of packaging, we can have a look at the fantastic artwork and battle scenes on the back of that. And as I'm sure he's looking quite familiar, we can have a look and do a direct comparison with his Hasbro released alternative, which we've got there. So that's why he's looking so familiar. So, as I've said, he was released in 1988 in Japan, and he was released as part of what's known as the supergod masterforce continuity of figures, and that coincides with the cartoon that was airing at the same time. We might as well discuss this other guy quickly at the same time, because the easiest way for me to do it is exactly this, is they were both released in 1988. The guy here on the left hand side, Hydra, is the Japanese story variant. So as I say, everything in Japan was following this particular line, whereas Hasbro and the rest of the world were following this line. So it wasn't as if, in some cases you'll find that some Japanese figures were released beforehand and then they managed to transition across into other countries. They were just released concurrently. They just had totally different stories. We're going to do more of a comparison in a second, but I just wanted to get that across just in case you were wondering it. Let's have a look at the figure himself then. And I'm very biased towards these. I did have the Hasbro ones as a child. I do absolutely love them, but I do actually prefer these because I just prefer the paint job on them, if I'm being really honest. So it is a Generation 1 figure, so it is kind of blocky. We've got some alternation in the shoulder, in the bicep. We can't really count the movement out there because that's part of the transformation. Same with the legs. I mean, you can turn them out, but it's part of the transformation. And the same with the knees. You see, it's not really articulation. It's hyperextension. It doesn't do it any good at all. So that's about it you've got for your articulation points. But I just think, look at it. It looks absolutely stunning. They've chosen a really good color scheme. I think it just works really well. Don't get me wrong, I think the Hasbro one did as well. But yes, so without going into too much detail and without trying to confuse you all, this, funnily enough, is actually the Transector, and this guy here is Hydra. So the little engine was a Godmaster engine and not a Powermaster engine, and again, that's just because of the way the two different stories were being played out. Let's have a quick look at who was known as Throttle, so we can do a comparison with him as well. You can see that the colours are identical apart from what's on the back. If we spin it round, the Japanese variant again's got the lovely bit of chrome on the top that's sparkling and shining lovely, and it's got red instead of the teal. Everything else is exactly the same, all the details exactly like so. But yeah, without going into too much detail and hopefully not going to confuse you too much, it's just better if you just forget everything you know about Hasbro, forget everything you know about the Sunbow cartoons and the comics and all that sort of stuff, and just look at this completely fresh, because this little guy here is Hydra, and he is the Godmaster that bonds with his Transector, which just so happens to be this figure here that looks very familiar. The cool thing about these Japanese figures, let's have a quick look at the box before we go any further, is I know the artwork's brilliant on both of Hasbro and the Takara ones. What we've got here there is his name. We've got the D, which stood for Destron, and the 304 was its relevant number. So what that means is it's just exactly that. That was his reference. So you can see here that the gift set behind you is 306, and that's because it's got a separate number on it, because it is a separate thing that you can purchase all at once. 305 was his brother, who was Buster. 306 is the combined ones. Now, and before I show you the artwork on the back, what I was saying to you is the reason why these are cool is because once they come with obviously they come with instructions, and I mentioned this on his brother's video, that the instructions again must be a brilliant cost-cutting exercise. They're universal, so even in the individual boxes they came like this. So you've got the instructions for them all. I literally have the instructions. They're the same as in the individual boxes, what they are in the gift set. So it must be the way. But the other thing that's really cool is we get these little collector's cards. And there you can see Hydra, Godmaster. And then we've got a little bit about him. And then it looks like he's got a bit of a snake's head there. That's because of the suit. The human being is in there. And if you watch the cartoons, this is what he looks like in his suit. So I love these little cards. It's just an extra little bonus that they all came with. Right, let's have a look at him in his alternate mode. And there we go. And again, this is very similar to the Hasbro. the funny thing is that they sort of seem to have like transponded the jets over. So basically with Hydra, the difference between this guy and the Hasbro version was more in the robot mode. There was only a tiny bit of difference when it was in the jet, as you can see in the tail. Otherwise everything is exactly the same. But whereas his brother Buster, which I've got here as well, his main difference is, although we've got the same with the shoulders and the arms, it's when he's in the jet mode. As you can see behind in here, there's more differences in the jet mode with him, whereas with Hydra there's more differences in the robot mode. I'm going to take this opportunity though now to have a look at this box, because of the artwork I want to show you on the back, and I want to show you that brilliant bit of artwork there, which is known as Wing Cross in Japan. It is obviously the combining of the two, and they are known as darkwings. Now on the back, if we have a look, this is the fantastic artwork that I was on about, and this is brilliant artwork from supergod masterforce. And as I say, their main difference is they weren't referred to as powermasters, they were referred to as godmasters, god on, and it just meant that you could do the transformation process, which I'm sort of going to show you now. But there we go, there's the lovely artwork and the box there. Right, so let's have a quick look back at the jet though, as I say. And you can see here, this was where you would put Hydra, your little godmaster engine, and the transformation process I'm going to attempt very carefully without damaging it. You would just fold his legs up. There's a hole there in his shoulders, there's a dowel there on the end of his foot, and then this would then click into place. And I'm not actually going to transform this one into place like that, and then this would allow you to complete the transformation process. If this is missing, it can be really difficult to do it. So, you know, you can sort of, you know, manipulate it if you want to, but I just really wouldn't recommend it in all honesty. Two amazing modes, they display absolutely fantastic. But then of course the bonus was that they could in fact of course merge to combine to make what's known as darkwings. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the guy in the middle, and I'm going to do that for you just to show you. So let's hope that he transforms for me perfectly. You will have to forgive me, I very rarely transform these. So I'm going to fold it back, and I'm going to attach this engine into place. Now the things to be aware of when you've got these particular figures, as I've already mentioned, you know, you can see there that there's two buttons in the middle that we're going to be pressing down. So if you do have the Godmaster engine or the Powermaster engine, if you've got the Hasbro versions, please try and use it, especially with this figure. It's just not really worth it. One thing to be aware of is, see that stress mark there, and I think the clip's actually, yeah, clip is actually broken and damaged off this one. So let's see if this is going to work. We're going to fold the arms out, and it does. You see that swivel there? This is what that engine allows it to do. It allows you to do this part of the transformation process. So you can now, we'll close the feet up, we'll fold these carefully over, bring this up nice and carefully. These make a racket, so I'm awfully nervous, dubious, everything about these, and bring it up. But this is the one I've transformed before, so hopefully it shouldn't be too bad. Bring it up, there we go. So now with a bit of luck, this should slot. See, you've got a little gap there. This should slot neatly, he says. It's so stiff. There we go. Again, these aren't really played with, so let's line that up, push that in. Brilliant. So that's gone into position, and now we can close these down. Ready. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to leave it like that, because then all I would have to do to finish the jet off would be to fold the nose cone down. While that engine's in there, I'm going to show you, see there is the clip, and that has got a bit of a stress line on it as well. In fact, it looks like it might even be a bit damaged, but I've not transformed these ones, and I'm definitely not going to continue now. So this would then fit and slot into there like so. And then I'll just join the tail up. So that would be the transformation process. What I'm going to show you now though is quickly how we would make darkwings. So we've got his brother here, Hydra, and I'm going to transform him very quickly as well. I've just seen his Godmaster engine is behind there. So what we do with this, same principle on the back. I should have probably got this ready. We're going to pop him in there, and then this allows you to move these wings up and down. I'm going to take the guns out of his hands, fold the arms back with this, fold the nose cone forwards, swing the legs around, swing the legs around. bring these down. In fact, I'm going to take them back, bring them down, and then bring them forward. So what this is now going to allow us to do, you can see we've got 4 clips here and here, and we've even got what's going to be a clip there. These are all going to now slot in perfectly. The wings are going to slot into there, the 4 clips are going to go into there, and then because this clip's damaged, it should connect relatively well, relatively easy. Last time I had a go at this, I had to quickly move it off camera just because it was too big, and I think I'm going to have to do the same. So bear with me 2 seconds, I will show you exactly what I've done as soon as I've clicked it in. I'm sure you can appreciate, well, you heard that click there. These are old figures and I don't want to be damaging them. So there we go, we've joined there at the bottom, we've joined there at the top, and now because the Godmaster engines are in, I can slot these wings back. That's gone into place. I'm going to balance that there. I can now slot stroke click them in. I can now extend that part up to give it a bigger tail. We can now bring these wings down much further. You've got the huge wings now, and then we can even pull out the added extra wings at the front of this. Again, absolutely stunning figures, and you may notice that it looks a bit, I suppose, empty towards the back here, but what you can do, you can get the 2 weapons, they can connect together. You can see they've got opposite holes and dowels. Join the 2, both of the brothers have 2 weapons each, and then what you can do with this, you can just attach these in the back like so, and nice and careful, because again, these aren't that well played with. In fact, that's not going to go in at all by the looks of it. Oh, there we go, just about. So that's filled the back of the jet out, and I'm sure you'll agree, it just looks stunning. Here's a direct comparison with the Hasbro variant, like so. Great figures, great playability. So I was lucky enough to have the Hasbro ones when I was a kid, and I just think they're fantastic. I just really like them. Like I say, I prefer the paint scheme with this. I can't recommend enough that if you can, watch the supergod masterforce cartoons, because they're very good, very good. Again, you've got to watch them with an open mind, because they're totally different, the stories are totally different. Some of the figures which you've seen like this are just as what we refer to as redecorates, or just, you know, the same figures but with a different color scheme. But they do have a lot, especially supergod masterforce, they have a lot of Japanese exclusives as well, so it's definitely worth having a watch of it for that, because it can open your eyes and, you know, introduce you to a world of a lot more yeah, different figures and things like that. What I'm going to do when I'm still talking, I'm going to transform him back to robot mode, because that's brilliant. This, I cannot emphasize enough how important it is that you put or make sure that something's in there to assist this transformation process. This is probably another reason why one of these figures, even the Hasbro ones, is so expensive on the secondary market, and it will be because that clip gets broke, it gets damaged, and then you can't do the transformation process. It's nigh on impossible. So please, if you are, or if you do own one and it hasn't got the Godmaster or the Powermaster engine, just be super careful with it. I can't recommend that enough. Stickers also play a part as well, which you can see, but there you go. So I hope you enjoyed looking at him. Yeah, I hope again it's continuing to spark all your interests in the Japanese ranges of figures. And yeah, there you go. I hope it was still a bit different from his brother's version. Keep your ideas and suggestions coming in, and of course, please take care.